Good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I am doing this a little bit differently tonight. I usually do this from my phone, but tonight I am doing it from my iPad because I want to be able to do a demo, and I need my phone to do the demo. So if it's a little bit different, maybe you guys will like it better. I don't know if the screen's different or if the view is different. Give me a shout out. Let me know. We'll see how this works because it's I always like trying something new. But if you were on here live, give me a hashtag live, and if you're picking this up in the replay, give me a hashtag replay. I'm giving some people some time to come in, and my inviting in is a little bit different on the iPad than it is than I'm used to on my phone. So it's taken me a half a second longer. So I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Tonight I am going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is hydration and making sure you are drinking enough water. Anybody that's been following me for any amount of time knows that this is a big hot button topic for me because hydration is one of the things that we can all do, right? Free, easy. We all have access to water. We all have access to fluids, right? Super easy, and it's a great way to improve your health that anybody can do, regardless of what program you're on, regardless of finances, regardless of anything else. We can all be drinking water. So it's super important. Melinda, yes, I do sleep. I'm going to bed soon after this. So tonight I want to talk about water. First of all, what is the importance of hydration, right? Our bodies are made up of at least 75% water. All of our organs, right? Our brain, our heart, our blood, right? It's all water. So when we're dehydrated, when we're not giving our body enough water, none of those things can function properly. That is super important, right? And a lot of times a lot of the symptoms that we have when something is going on is related to dehydration, and we don't even realize it. It's really a big issue. And by the time we do realize it, by the time our symptoms get to be so bad that we realize we're dehydrated, we're so far past, right? By the time you're so dehydrated that you're throwing up or that you're whatever, that's not even as bad as it can get. You're so far past. That's by the time you really, need to go into the hospital and get an IV put in your arm. So we want to prevent that. We really want to prevent that. And one of the things that I find so cool is, since I've been talking a lot about hydration over the last 3 years, the number of people who have reached out to me who have said, I've increased my water, and all of a sudden things that I didn't even really realize were affected by water are changing. They won't change anything else in their diet. They don't change anything else in their lifestyle, but they start improving their water, and they sleep better, right? Their skin is better. I hear it all the time from clients that go to get a facial, and their anestheticians say, what are you doing to your skin? Like, what are you doing differently? And it's always the increase in water, right? Because our skin, right, it dries out when we don't drink enough water. That's why people who get dry skin during the winter, I don't know about you, but I know it's something that I used to suffer from. My middle daughter used to suffer from it terribly. And once we increased water in the house, that hasn't been nearly as bad. Like, she used to go through bottles of lotion, bottles and bottles of lotion during the winter to hydrate her skin. And this past winter, because we really instituted an increase in water for everybody in the house, and I don't think she remember her even using lotion very often at all, but she for sure didn't go through tubes of it like or bottles of it like she did in past winters. And the reason why we dry out more in the winter is in the summer we tend to drink more water naturally. It's hot, we're sweating, we feel like we're thirsty, right? But actually our bodies dehydrate more in the winter than they do in the summer, because in the summer there's more moisture in the air, the humidity is higher, where in the winter it's dry, and so it's pulling, and that cold air is pulling the hydration from our bodies, which is why our skin gets really dry, which is why skiers, right, end up being chapped. So if you think that you need to drink less water in the winter, that's actually not true. Our bodies really need that water all year round. But some of the signs of dehydration that I want to talk about, some of the things that we should be looking out for, is little to no urine, right? If you're not going to the bathroom all the time, some people are like, oh, that's a good thing. I'm not always racing to the bathroom. That's not really a good thing, right? You need to be going to the bathroom frequently, right? So, and your urine, you want to watch the color on it, right? If it's darker than usual. Now, there are certain vegetables that you can be eating that will change the color of your urine. So if you notice that and you can tie it to food, then definitely pay attention to that. But urine that's darker than usual. And too much hydration on the other end is if your urine is pure clear. Like you don't want it to look like water. You don't want it to be pure clear. You want it to be a pale yellow. That's your goal, right? When you're looking at that, if you're using that as a judge. Another sign of dehydration is dry mouth, right? If you're constantly getting dry mouth, your body is probably dehydrated and it's asking for water. Sleepiness and fatigue. If you are constantly feeling tired and fatigued, big chances are, unless you're really not sleeping enough, but big chances are you're dehydrated. That's a big one that people come to me and say, wow, I feel so much better. I have so much more energy once I get my water up. So if you feel dehydrated, if you feel fatigue and sleepiness a lot, check your water. Make sure you're getting enough water. Extreme thirst, right? So I first talked about dry mouth, but extreme thirst is also another sign of dehydration. Headache. A lot of times when we get a headache, it's dehydration. It's a dehydration headache. So first thing, even before you run for the Tylenol, Advil, Motrin, whatever Excedrin, whatever it is that you take for a headache, make sure that your water's in check. Drink a bunch of water, even if you have to take something like that to kick it. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and rehydrating. Yes, Melinda, appetite. I was going to get to that one. You are exactly right. Dizziness or lightheadedness is also a sign of dehydration. So you want to make sure that if you're finding that and seeing spells of dizziness, then check your water. And a more extreme version is no tears when you're crying. If your body's just not producing tears, or if you're getting really bad dry eye, because our eyes create tears, different kinds of tears. We create tears from sadness, but we also create tears to keep our eyes lubricated. So if you're not creating that, if you're constantly getting dry eyes, that is very much a sign of dehydration as well. But you don't want to wait until you notice symptoms of dehydration to start drinking your water, right? We want to stay ahead of it. One of the interesting tips that I learned, I know for those of you who follow me know that my eldest has a rare blood disorder. So she is constantly, she's quarterly getting blood draws, at least quarterly getting blood draws. Actually, it's been more often than that now, because as she's growing so fast, they are watching it closer to make sure she's not outgrowing her medicine. And one of the things that the phlebotomist taught us a long time ago was that, right, you're always told before you go to have a blood draw and to drink water, to stay hydrated, because it makes the blood draw much easier. But one of the things that the phlebotomist told us was that you don't want to just start hydrating right that morning before you go have a blood draw, right? It's not going to work. It takes several days for your body, if you're not hydrated properly, it takes several days for your body to actually hydrate. And some people who are really, really dehydrated, it takes several weeks for that to pick up. And I've definitely seen that with clients where we've been monitoring their water levels. And so the phlebotomist always says to my daughter, before you come in, 2 to 3 days before you come in, kick up your water. And my kids are all pretty good water drinkers. That's all we drink in the house, and we talk about it a lot. But they say that's what you want to do. 2 to 3 days, at least 2 to 3 days before, kick up your water so that you're actually hydrated, so that it makes the blood draw easier, right? Because our blood is a big percentage of water. So if we're not drinking enough and we're dehydrated, it makes it harder for them to draw that blood. So it's really super important, making sure that you're properly hydrated. As Melinda said, absolutely with it helps with appetite, right? It helps appetite control. First of all, it fills you up. But a lot of times when we're hungry, or when we think we're hungry, we're not really hungry, we're actually thirsty. So, generally if I'm hungry and it's before my time to actually eat, right? Because I eat pretty much on a very set schedule throughout the day. If I feel like I'm hungry before I eat, almost always it's because I'm actually thirsty. Right, I've been slacking on my water, so I usually go and drink a bunch of water. And if that doesn't kick it, if I'm then really hungry, then I go on and eat. So, how do I keep track of my water? Right, this is the big thing. And anybody who's been following me for a while knows that I love my Hidrate Spark water bottle. And I want to give a little bit of a review here tonight because the new Hydrate 3 just came out. I have the Hydrate 2. I have them all, right? I have a bunch of the Hydrate, several Hydrate 2s in multiple colors. But I want to talk about it because a bunch of people, I posted a picture the other day when right before this launched, because these just launched yesterday for the public. They sent me one ahead of time to check it out so that they could get my feedback on it. And so I wanted to compare the two because a bunch of people said, what's the difference? Why would I want the 3 instead of the 2? If you have the 2, it's rocking. It's awesome. I love this water bottle, right? The 3, if you're going to get it, definitely upgrade. Here's why. So first of all, what is the Hydrate Spark? Why do I love the Hydrate Spark? So prior to using this, I don't know about you, but I had a very hard time remembering how much water I had actually drank during the day, right? So I would lose count. I would think I had so much. I didn't really have enough. I never knew. And I had some handy dandy little tips and tricks that I would do because I always had a reusable water bottle. I always carry a reusable water bottle. And I used to put rubber bands around my water bottle knowing how many I was going to drink during the day. And as I finish it, I'd pull off a rubber band, which is great. If you are home and you can, or wherever you are, and you can drink your water bottle to the bottom and keep count on that, that's fantastic. And that system works really, really, really well. And that's an easy system to use. And that's what I tell a lot of people to do if they're not going to invest in something like this, right? Put rubber bands around it and pull them off as you use them. My bigger problem was I would get halfway through a water bottle and be ready to leave the house, and I would refill it. And so I wouldn't have finished it to pull off a full water bottle, and then I'd lose count, right? But I don't want to go out of the house with only a partial water bottle, especially if I'm going to be gone for a while, because whatever. So that was always keeping track of it was really hard. So one of the things that I love most, what drew me to the Hydrate Spark originally, was the fact that inside of it, and I can show you in both of them, inside of it has this awesome stick. This stick has in it a Bluetooth. It has a Bluetooth chip. So that Bluetooth chip talks to my phone. That's why I'm doing this on the iPad, so I can show you on my phone. Talks to the app on my phone, the Hydrate Spark app. So you can see I met my goal for today. Talks to the Hydrate Spark app. And every time I drink from it, if it's near my phone, it records what I drank, keeping track, right? See, you reached your goal, you met your goal, right? So it keeps track of what I've had all day. So if I refill my water bottle, if I take 4 sips and then refill my water bottle, it's going to keep track of that, which is super, super cool. And by the way, having a 2 and a 3, if I drink out of both of these throughout the day, it's keeping track from both, which I love. So it doesn't matter which one I'm using, and if I have one in the car and one here, it doesn't matter. It's keeping track for me. So that's super cool. What it does, okay, so this stick inside is not just a handy dandy Bluetooth tracker, but it also glows. So I'm going to show you. I can show you what happens. You can see them both. I can make it glow from my app. So I'm going to make the green one, the new one glow, and I'm going to make the red, this one glow. See, they glow. So, and they I don't know how well you can see that because the color, it's a bright green that's glowing, but the coloring is not right on with my iPad, and this one is red that's glowing. So why does it glow, and why do I love that? Well, first of all, it glows throughout the day, periodically throughout the day, and you can set the app however you want it to do it. It glows throughout the day to remind you to drink. So I can tell you, it'll start lighting up, and my kids will go, hey, your water bottle's glowing, it's time to drink, right? So it does, it reminds you to drink. If you're sitting there, you're busy, whatever, it reminds you to drink. And you can set it different ways. You can set it to remind you randomly, which is how I have mine set because I don't have so much of a trouble of getting my water in. But if you really struggle with water, you can have it set to remind you, like if you're behind, and it'll blink more often. So, and then when you actually hit your goal for the day, it does this whole like dancey, whatever, it goes nutso blinking, which is kind of cool. And having 2 of them, when I hit my goal tonight, both of them sitting here were lighting up like crazy. So they're talking to each other. The app talks to both of them. So I love that. Which is super fun, and that's a super cool thing, and it's always a talking point when I'm out places and all of a sudden my water bottle starts blinking. So what else does it do? So first of all, as you see in my app, I'm going to show you again. As you see in my app, it shows that I met my goal for the day. So there are different ways that you can set that goal. You can set that goal as a manual goal. Talia, I will put the link to where you buy it in the top of this when I finish my live. But when you can set your goal, right? 2 different ways. One, you can set a manual goal. If you want to have a certain amount of water in the day and you want to make sure you hit it, you can set a manual goal in the app. You can also set where it is a goal that is an auto goal that's set by the app. And how that works. So for a long time, I did a manual goal. And I actually ended up that I was drinking too much water. And too much water, just like not enough water, is not good for you. And I was feeling the effects of having too much water. My weight loss slowed down. My urine was always clear, which meant I was flushing out the electrolytes and some of the stuff that I need, right? And I wasn't feeling good. I was sluggish, and I was having some of the feelings the opposite direction. And so I switched my app over to the manual goal. And the way it pulls your manual goal, it's super cool. So first of all, it connects to the weather, to where you are, to your location. So it knows what your weather is. So it sets your goal off of where you are by weather and by altitude, which is really cool because higher altitude, you definitely need more water. It sets your goal off of, it connects to my Fitbit. So it knows how active I am. So on days that I'm more active, it raises my goal, right? And it adjusts that goal all based on it. So every day my goal may be different. And when I started following what they predict as my goal, staying within, sometimes I drink an extra couple of ounces just because I'm draining my water bottle and it's a couple extra ounces over. But as long as I stay within that, my weight loss picked back up. My urine is the right color. It's the pale yellow again, where it was so clear and I was waking up in the middle of the night, which was not me. That's not how my body normally works, which was a sign that I was drinking too much water. But I'm feeling really, really good. So I've switched it over to the auto goal, which I love. And it reminds me, like I said, it reminds me throughout the day. The other thing that I love about this, and I am a challenge person, which is part of why I love my Fitbit, because I do the Fitbit challenges, but you can have friends on here. You can have friends. Ooh, can you see? I don't know if you can see it. The lighting on here is weird. You can have friends on here. So you can track and you can be in competition with people, which for me, that's a big thing. Like, ooh, am I ahead? Right? The other thing that's cool about that is not only can you be in competition, but you can see, so right here, I don't have it on my ring to show, but you can set it up that it can show where everybody else is in comparison to you. So that's super fun. And I like that. And there are certain clients that have asked me over time, hey, will you help me? Will you help me stay on track? And so I'll put them in and then I can see and I can reach out and say, hey, you're off you're off with your water, which is cool. One of the other things that I love about this, like I said, is that it keeps track all day long for me. So there's no guessing. There is no guessing with it. Now, what is the difference between the Hidrate Spark 2, which is the original one, and the Hidrate Spark 3? So first of all, there are some good features that they have increased. The feel of this is a little bit different, and it doesn't scratch. This one scratches. This is a new one because they sent this to me not too long ago. But so this one doesn't scratch and the feel is different. But one of the things that I really love about this, first of all, the battery life in the new one, the battery is a longer battery life. This one, the 2, the battery, you pop the stick out and the battery is up here, right? So this also makes the top really heavy, and I can't even tell you how many times I cracked one of my tops already. One of my old ones, I cracked the top because it's heavy, and when I would take it off, it would fall and it would crack the top. So one of the awesome changes that they made in this is this one. Whoops, the top is different. The stick that's inside there, it is not part of the top. So the stick actually is part of the bottom, which is why I wanted to make sure I didn't finish all my water. Whoops. There was a few drops left. So the stick is a separate piece. So the top isn't really heavy like that is. And it comes out, which is also really nice. One of the things that I love is that I have an opening in the top and the bottom. So when I go to clean my water bottle, I can get all the way through, because that's one of the things that I hate about water bottles is it's hard to get to the bottom, but you can get all the way through. And it's in pieces, and instead of spilling my last few drops, I usually do that over the sink. But that is a great feature. It also, they changed the battery in it. It's a longer battery life. I can't test to that yet because I haven't had it long enough to see how long my battery lasts. But in my old one, my battery, I would eat through the battery pretty quickly. So that's a great feature. And those are the biggest differences. But the fact that the top isn't so heavy anymore, when I go to fill it and this comes off and it's not so heavy and bulky, those are huge differences. Now, like I said, if you already have the two rocks. So I wouldn't necessarily go and say, go buy another one. But if you don't have the 2 and you're looking for, or if the fact that the top is heavy drives you crazy, that would be a great reason to upgrade it. The one thing that I can say is that with this one, so on the Sabbath, on Shabbat, when we don't use electronics, this one was super easy that I could still use my bottle. I could pop it out and I could still use my bottle and the bottle works just fine. Where this one, obviously, if I pull out the stick on the bottom, it's the middle, so I couldn't use that on. But to me, it's not such a big deal since I'm not worried about tracking it. I can still use this one on the Sabbath because I have other bottles. But overall, if I was getting one or the other, I would for sure get the new one. for the reasons, and they also changed the spout. They also changed the drinking spout to a circle. Oops, see, it's glowing at me. And so is this one. They're both glowing at me. The app, it's reminding me to drink, even though I've already hit my goal, which is super cool. So like I said, I get this whole little dancing of the light ups here. But again, I love it. I love my water bottle. All my clients, all my friends that I have recommended it to usually love it. Customer service with the company is amazing. So if you have one and you've ever had an issue with it, please, please, please reach out to them because they rock. You know, when I actually cracked the top on one of mine because this was so heavy and it fell and hit the ground, and I reached out to them and they sent me a new top, no big deal. So they're really good. They're really cool. It's a women's owned company, which I really like. The owner is very hands-on, and she started this because she had an issue with major dehydration and got really sick. But you know, hydration is a big, big, big deal. So however you're getting it, whether you want a fun gadget like this or whether you're just drinking your water, make sure you're drinking enough. Like I said, it's really, really important to make sure you're drinking enough. And if you're not, and you start drinking more, you will see things improving that you didn't even know were probably wrong, right? Your energy will for sure pick up. Your skin will clear up, all those kinds of things. So I hope this helps. You know, if you've seen my posts and wondered, what is she talking about? If you see these in my picture, I love it, right? Like the one thing I do say though, my kids are not allowed to drink from it. They can drink my other water bottles, but because it messes up my count, and I am very, very, I want to know that I've had enough water. So, you know, they always know that they can't drink from this bottle. And they don't have phones yet, so I'm not giving them their own. But eventually, someday they'll get their own too. But it's really, really, you know, super important. Hydration is number one key, and it is the one thing, like I said at the beginning, that anyone can do regardless of what program you're on, whether you're on a program, whether you have any weight to lose, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs to be paying attention to hydration because it will change your life. It can, hey Stephanie, it can change your life and it will save your life. I actually have a good friend of mine who was having all kinds of medical issues, and he saw me. We were out in Utah, and we met up with him, and he saw me drinking from my bottle. It was one of these, but he saw me drinking from my bottle, and he's like, "What is that?" Because he saw I would open up we bottled water, and I was filling it into my bottle, and I told him about it, and he went and immediately ordered one because he's like, "That's the coolest thing." He ordered one for himself and for his wife, and he didn't realize he had been having all kinds of medical issues. And he didn't realize that a lot of it was from dehydration. And after using it for a couple of weeks and really making sure he was getting properly hydrated, he called me up and he said, "Oh my," he said, "what a difference." He said a lot of his medical stuff went away that they couldn't diagnose. And he said to me, he said, "Lesley," he said, "using this," he said, "because it wasn't this that saved his life, but getting the water," he said, "you literally saved my life." He said, "because I was so dehydrated." He said, I was having all kinds of crazy issues that have now disappeared. So hydration is super important. If you need help if you need tips on how to get more water in, on how to, anything, right? Because some people really struggle with it. Some people really, really struggle with water. And so, reach out. I'm happy to help you with tips. The big thing is, how much water should you be drinking? If you're not using, first of all, the Hydrate Spark app, you don't have to have the bottle to download the app. You can use the app without it, and you can manually log it, though it's kind of a pain. But just as a frame of reference, adults should be drinking a minimum of 64 ounces of water in a day, right? Up to half your body weight in ounces. Many urologists say 64, half your body weight in ounces of water. So what I generally tell people is, if you're not already drinking 64 ounces, first get yourself to 64 ounces, right? Start slow, right? And slowly increase it, get yourself to 64 ounces. If you're already drinking 64 ounces, start increasing it a bit. And like I said, you want to watch your urine. That's super important to watch your urine and make sure that it's not getting clear. And you'll find that right balance, right? You'll find that balance of about half your body. Many people find about half their body weight in ounces is good amount, but you want to watch it. You don't want to overhydrate yourself, because overhydration is just as bad as dehydration, right? Too much of anything, even too much of a good thing, is not a good thing, right? So we want to make sure that we find that right balance, and we want to do it safely. So if like I said, if you don't drink much water now, start adding. And I usually say, if somebody comes to me and says, "I only drink 20 ounces in a day," okay, so then tomorrow let's drink 24 ounces. and then, slowly increase it, and then go to 30 ounces, and then go to 34, 36 ounces, right? Slowly increase it. And some people can start doing it slowly and then just jump in and say, oh, wow, this is easy, and they can get themselves up there. Some people, it takes them a while. If you really don't like the taste of plain water is best. I will recommend you can drop in like some lemon, right? Or some cucumbers or some other fruit, and just don't squeeze it because you don't want the sugars from it in there, but just drop it in and let it sort of, infuse itself. One of the things that I offer a lot of my clients use our Purposeful Hydration product, which is, it's not a Crystal Light, but it's something like that, but it doesn't have the artificial sweeteners in it, and actually has added vitamins and stuff. So that's always a great option that I love. I try to tell people to stay away from the Mio drops and the Crystal Light. You can use it if that's the only way you can get your water in, but that does have a lot of the artificial stuff in it. And what happens is when you start using the artificial sweeteners, it sort of tricks your brain and wants it, and then it craves sweet more than not sweet, right? It makes you crave that even more. So I try to tell people to, if you can, stay away from some of that, or just use a very little bit. Another favorite of mine, if you're trying to get your hydration in and you want a little bit of that flavor, hint water is great. It just has a hint of a variety of flavors. So I love that, and I will have it and I'll pour it into one of these, right? Sparkling water also, right? Some seltzer. I am not a big seltzer person, but that's a great way to get some hydration in. And remember, herbal tea is good. Caffeinated tea and caffeinated coffee are dehydrating. So you want to watch those. Sodas are dehydrating, the caffeine in them. But you're also getting hydration. If you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you are getting some hydration from those too, which is why you want to watch that 64, we start you with 64 ounces, because I know on certain days when I eat vegetables that are higher in water content, I don't want to drink as much because I'm still getting my hydration from there. So that's why we want to be really careful. That's why that recommendation of starting with 64 ounces and then seeing where you find your balance. So I hope this is helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions about water, water is my big one. I talk about it a lot. Because it's something that we can all do. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I know Talia asked, I will put the link to how to get your Hydrate 3. I'll put it up at the top. I'll edit my description. So hop on. It's great. I love it. I'm hoping to be able to do a giveaway for one of the Hydrate 3s. I can definitely do a giveaway for the Hydrate 2 because I have several of them sitting here with the intention of doing giveaways. But I'm going to see if I can get my hands on one or two of these as well to do a giveaway for one of the Hydrate 3s as well. So stay tuned for that because I love doing water challenges. But I hope you have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. If you've got questions, feel free, reach out. Talk to you later. Bye.